Hey guys!
Hello.
Welcome back to our channel. We have had a rough, stressful few days. Actually, it's been like a rough, stressful 2017 so far. I don't know what is going on, but hopefully we're getting our bad luck streak out of the way early. And from now on, 2017 is going to be great and amazing.
That'd be nice.
Because we have had bad luck with what? We've had stressful cameras, vehicles, colic, what else? Sickness. We've gotten like everything. So hopefully from now on it's great. But since we did not vlog yesterday because everything was just kind of going on, and we will talk about that in tomorrow's vlog, we decided to just get a Q&A up today, and we really needed to do our birth Q&A anyways, our part 2, because we were having issues with cameras the first time that we filmed this, the part 1. It like didn't film the part 2, and we will get to it now. The first question is, how many centimeters were you when you got an epidural? And I was 6.5 centimeters, and that is why I got an epidural, because
you weren't progressing.
Yeah, I was at a 2 for a few days, and then I went from a 2 to a 5 in like 2 hours, and then I went
quick
to a 6 in like another 2 hours, and then it was like 4 hours after that, and they checked me, and I was like, okay, if I'm like actually progressing.
We thought you were gonna be like an 8 or 9.
Yeah, and I was at a 6.5. She said maybe a 6.5 if that, and so I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna get the epidural, because I was just so exhausted. I hadn't slept in days, and I was like shaking. I was so exhausted, and I was having, the entire time that I was in labor, I was having back-to-back contractions pretty much. I had like a minute or 2 in between, so I don't think that I would have been able to get through it. So yeah, that's why I got the epidural, and that is when I got the epidural, at 6.5 centimeters. The next question is, was pushing a lot harder or easier than you thought it would be? And I thought that it was going to be really, really hard, but I also thought that I was going to go natural. So it was easier than I thought that it was going to be, but I also had an epidural, so can't really tell, I guess.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna take longer.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna take like 3 hours.
Yeah, that's what they told us, especially because she was sunny side up, which they're apparently supposed to be down. And so, yeah, they told us that it might take a really long time, and we might need to have help for her to get out. But I thought that it was a lot easier than I thought that it was gonna be.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see if I ever have like a natural birth, how hard it is. And ask me after that one.
Might hurt a little more.
A lot more. The next question is, did you have any tearing, and who was in the room with you during delivery? I couldn't sleep for a few days after I had my daughter either. Too much nervousness, excitement, and every emotion imaginable. Baby Addie is so beautiful. Congrats. And I did have some tearing. I had a 2nd-degree tear, so it was pretty minor, and they just stitched me up. And who was in the room was obviously like the staff, and then Brandon's mom, my mom, and then Brandon. And my dad was in the room until like everything was going to happen, and I was like 10 centimeters, and we were gonna have him like stay in there and like just like try not to, you know, just not look, because I wanted him to be there for that. But I'm very, very, very glad that he was in the waiting room instead, because I thought, you know, in the movies they have like a curtain or like a blanket, and you can be like, stay near my head, just don't look. Yeah, that doesn't work. If you have not had a baby, don't even count on that. Just send the people that you want to not see every single part of you, see every single thing that happens. Send them out to the waiting room, because that doesn't happen. Everything's out. It's all there.
Yeah.
There's stuff everywhere. The next question is, are you glad that you got an epidural? I love you so much, from Maryland. We love you too. And yes, I really wanted to go natural, and I wish that I could have. But in the situation that we were in, yes, I am glad that we got an epidural, and I would do it again.
Yeah, you would have been exhausted if you didn't.
Yeah, I was really exhausted. I was shaking. I was having them back to back. I wasn't able to rest at all, and I don't think that I would have been able to push, especially not like, she was sunny side up. it could have taken a really long time, and we might have ended up having to use the vacuum or forceps or maybe even a C-section if it really wouldn't have gone well, because the only reason I was able to push was because I was able to rest a little bit. And in that situation, yes, I'm glad that I got the epidural. But next one I'm definitely going to try, and we're going to do some other things that I think will help me go farther naturally. So yes, in that situation, and I would definitely do it again if that happens again. Hopefully it doesn't, but
yeah,
you never know. The end of pregnancy is very hard. You just don't get any sleep. And if I have another birth like that,
and then you don't get any sleep afterwards.
Yeah. The sleep is never. The next question is, I have a baby boy and was very emotional getting the epidural because I wanted all natural. Did it make you emotional getting the epidural? P.S. My 6-month-old loves watching text. Love you guys. We love you too. And all of these questions are really, really old. They're like probably 2 months old. So I don't even know if the people who are watching or who commented are going to be watching. But we love you too. And yes, I was really emotional about getting the epidural. I honestly felt like guilty. And it was just really emotional for me because I was so set on it. But like I said, I was glad, and I don't think that I would have been able to, you know, I don't know if I would have been able to do any of it.
Yeah, you just would have been so tired.
I don't even know if I would have been able to push. Like, that's how exhausted I was. The next question is, what did having an epidural feel like? I'm due in February, and although my pain tolerance is low and I'm open to an epidural, it scares me. And congratulations, you're actually really close. You weren't very close when I posted this, but now you're like almost a month away. But anyways, it didn't really feel like anything. Like, at that point, I was just so over the contractions and I was in so much pain that I didn't really feel it. And I am really, really scared of anything like that. I'm scared of needles. I'm scared of like the tubes. I'm scared of everything like that. So if you don't notice, you really don't, and it's not that bad. Yeah, it's not that bad. I never even saw anything. He came in with a little cart and he didn't even open anything until he was like completely behind me and I couldn't see him, which I think helped. And the epidural needle is not that big. It was really small. I was actually surprised. I thought that it was like
that big.
Yeah, I thought that it was like a horse needle or something like that big or something.
It goes all the way down your back.
Yeah, and it's not thick. I thought that it was gonna be like huge and thick, and it's not at all. It's not scary. You don't feel it. He gives you a little shot in your back, which I didn't see, like I said, and it just kind of felt like a little sting, and then it was completely fine. And actually, like, I was really scared about everything. I was scared. I was like, are you gonna paralyze me if I have a contraction? Because I was having them back to back. So I was really scared about that. But I asked him, and he said, unless you like go like this and like knock me back, you're not gonna paralyze me. So that was really reassuring, and I actually did have a contraction while he was putting in the needle, and it scared me so much. But I just stayed as still as possible and it was all fine. And the main thing that I was scared about was that I thought that there was just gonna be this like huge uncomfortable tube sticking out of my back the entire time. And I was gonna be like tugging on it, and yeah, exactly. But it is the teeniest tube ever. I didn't notice it once. Like, I did not tug it, and I was moving around. They had me moving back and forth so that I would progress faster, and I didn't feel it at all, didn't tug at all. The thing that hurt the most was, well, besides contractions, was getting the IV. And you have to get an IV even with like a lock on it, just in case anything goes wrong. They can give you medicine really fast, so that was like a standard at our hospital. So even if I went natural all the way, still would have had to get that IV, and that was 10 times worse than the epidural. So yeah, I'd say that you can definitely do it. I was really, really scared, but I think that you can do it. The next question is, props to you for trying to go natural. I hope when I get pregnant that I can go natural as long as possible. How did Brandon react when he saw her? Any tears? Love you guys. My puppy heard Addie crying and started tilting her head. It was so cute. We love you too. And yes, if you watch the video back, you can see him like,
had a little tear.
There was more than one. He kept like batting them back, for sure. And then when she grabbed your finger, definitely I could see tears.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I, as you can tell in the video, I was like bawling like a baby. Because
yeah, and I didn't do any of that,
me.
but
It didn't hit me until like she came out. The entire time you watch the birth vlog, I'm just like, whatever. I'm like smiling. I don't know what's going on. Just didn't feel real until I like saw her, and then I was like, what?
Yeah, it's like,
I barely cried the
moly.
entire pregnancy because it just didn't feel real, and then that second it still doesn't feel real. But yes, there was lots of tears on my part, and you definitely cried.
Yeah, teared up.
And he never cries. Like, I think I've seen him cry like twice in our entire relationship, so yeah. The next question is, I was wondering if you asked your family to have the whooping cough vaccine prior to visiting with Addie. That's the first question. I'm trying to figure out how to go about asking my friends and family that. If you did ask them, did they have any pushback? And actually, when we went in for her appointment, our doctor asked us if we all had it, and Brandon had not had it yet, and my mom had not had it yet, and so they like literally injected them both right then. It was awesome.
And your
the
mom
doctor
also
did
got a
most
flu
of it.
shot.
Yeah, the doctor did most of it. So, you know what?
I didn't even know about it till
Yeah.
then.
Take your family members or whoever is going to be visiting in with you to the doctors to like that first appointment, and just be like, oh, you think that we should get the whooping cough vaccine? Have you had it?
Line up.
That was really easy. And yeah, I think that they would totally understand, especially being a first-time parent. I'm like really paranoid, so yeah. I think that they will understand. The next question that they asked is, I was wondering if you asked for delayed cord clamping and if they set a time limit on how long they would delay. Love your vlogs, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Thank you so much. And yes, that was on our birth plan. We asked for delayed cord clamping, and delayed cord clamping.
20 seconds.
Yes, delayed cord clamping is usually defined as like 2 to 3 minutes. It's basically where you wait till all of the blood is out of the cord and it's all in your baby, and it helps with a lot of different things. You can research it yourself, but it's really, really good for them, and it's usually defined as about 2 to 3 minutes. And when she came out, the doctor held her, and literally you can hear him in the video. I really don't want to like be bashing a doctor or anything like that, because he was amazing and I really liked him, and you know, he got her out safe and everything like that. But you can hear him in the video say, oh, 20 seconds, that's enough, right? And then he just clips it. And
I clipped it.
Well, like he was like, we're gonna cut it now. And so no, we did not get delayed cord clamping. That is not delayed cord clamping. That's just cord clamping, because that's what they usually do. I mean, they don't cut it the very second that they come out. Another thing that really, really upsets me is I asked for skin to skin, and they didn't do that either. So, and my mom even reminded them. So next time,
I thought that was kind of odd, really.
Everything was odd. They didn't do anything that I asked them to do. Really. I mean, they did some of it, but everything that was like out of the norm, I mean, they basically just followed all of the things that they usually do.
Skin though these days is not out of the norm. That's
I know.
Normal.
And my, like right before she was about to come out, my mom was like, okay, are we gonna do skin to skin? And the doctor was like, no, we can do that after. And I'm like, I want immediate skin to skin, because there's studies about how if you set them on your chest immediately afterwards, they have like all of that fluids and everything like that, and it helps them to breastfeed faster because it like creates a trail up to you. And so yeah, next time we are definitely going to have a doula or someone there to like be my bodyguard.
Well, next time I'll like know what's going on.
Yeah, we were
like,
both overwhelmed.
I can be like, no, we're not doing that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have to, next time that we get pregnant, we're really gonna do a lot of research. We're probably gonna go to the same hospital, but we might have like, maybe there's a birthing center that we could go to that we could look into. I don't know. We're gonna have to do some research next time. But it was our first time, and we did not know what was going on, really. Yeah, it was so overwhelming. I mean, I had just pushed a baby out. I wasn't about to be like, no! Like jump out of the bed, you know? So yeah, next time will be different. The next question was, what surprised you both the most about labor, the delivery, and meeting Addie? And that's the first question. I feel like we've already kind of answered that, and that's how overwhelming emotionally it is. Like emotionally, and mostly because I was having contractions back to back. I was just so emotionally overwhelmed. Like I don't even like remember anything. I was just like, it was horrible.
It was a lot going on at once.
Yeah, that's what surprised me the most. And like how much I could love her, like, and how unreal it is at that moment.
Yeah.
And then the next question is, what would you do differently? After experiencing it firsthand now, what would be your advice for a first-time mommy to be right before she gives birth? So happy for you. Thank you for letting us in on such a personal part of your life. It's been beautiful to watch. Thank you. And I would definitely say, even though those last like few weeks of pregnancy are hard, definitely like try to get some sleep. Try to get some rest, because that was one of my problems. And then also, you should really set up the hospital room or wherever you're giving birth. It needs to be like an experience. You need to set it up and have it be calming, because as we said, it was so overwhelming. I had all of these things that I wanted to like set up. I wanted to have music. I wanted to have like this and that, and
cameras,
none of it.
We had to worry about where the cameras were at.
Well, that's like the only thing that we did. But I really wanted to have it like set up so that it was like a calming, and it was just so overwhelming because if I wanted to like switch positions, I only had like a minute. So we had to think about it beforehand, and we had to get everything set up, and then we had to like move me really fast and before I would have another contraction. Yeah, so we didn't really have a chance to set everything up to be calming. So I would definitely like make your environment calming. And yeah, so, and I would definitely say like just keep calm and enjoy it, because I actually miss giving birth. As hard as it was, I miss it, and I can't wait to do it again. The next question is, how long did you labor for? And if Addie asked me this in the future, I'm going to tell her 5 months, because really I had contractions about 10 every hour. They're Braxton Hicks, but about 10 contractions every hour since about 5 months. So I feel like I've been in labor for like 5 months. But my contractions, my real contractions, started at about 9 the night before, and I didn't start timing them until about 11. And then I started timing them at 11 at night, and then at 11 the next day we had her.
Yeah,
like
10:38, I think it was.
Yeah, 10:38. So I was in labor for about 24 to 26 hours, and I didn't get an epidural until
I don't even remember what
like
time it was.
6:30 or 7. So I was natural for about 20 to 22 hours. So I'd say that I did a good job. I'm proud of myself.
Yeah.
Especially since I'm usually a big baby. The next question is, does Brandon have a sensitive stomach? Is that why he didn't really look much when you were delivering? And
no, this one didn't want me to look.
No.
Yes.
No. Okay, so before we had agreed that he like wouldn't look, but as we mentioned earlier, like that doesn't really happen. And Brandon doesn't have a sensitive stomach, but the thing was, it looks like he's not looking a lot, which actually he looked like the entire time. He watched the entire time, but it was just that he had like, I can't remember what you did to his shoulder. Brandon hurt his shoulder at work. And so when they told us, you know, you're gonna have to push for a really long time because she's sunny side up. It's probably not gonna happen. And so his shoulder was hurting, and he was like, I don't know how long you're gonna be able to hold your leg. And you know,
my arm just started shaking after a while.
Yeah, and so I was like, I don't want to hear you complain, so why don't we just get the nurse to do it, because they're used to it. They do it all the time. They're really good at it. They're really strong for it. And so we just had the nurse hold my leg, and my mom was fine the entire time, but the nurse held my leg until like the end.
Make
and
me
then
feel like
did.
a wimp.
And well, you had a hurt shoulder, but
it's not my shoulder, it's like my elbow.
Yeah, your arm.
It's like my tendons and stuff.
Yeah, so he didn't hold my leg until the end, until we like knew that she was about to come. Yeah. But he was watching. He was just, you know, there's people holding my legs. He couldn't like get in there. So he is watching the entire time. And I was actually surprised how much he watched.
Yeah, once her head was kind of coming up and I could see her hair, that's kind of when I started watching.
Yeah. Did you think that it was gross or something? Or was it not gross?
No, I didn't think it was literally that gross.
Yeah, it's different when
you focus on the baby more than anything else.
Yeah, and it's different. It's not like you're, I don't know. It feels like birth. It doesn't feel like something gross.
Yeah.
The next question is, did she turn before you pushed? And as you mentioned, she wasn't like breech or anything like that, but she was sunny side up, which apparently is...
She just had to bend the other direction.
Yeah, well, they're supposed to be turned this way, and she was turned this way, and it just makes it a lot harder for pushing. But she did not turn, but when she was like about to come out, he
kind of got her to
he
twist.
reached in there, and he kind of got her to twist a little bit, so she was not completely down.
She came out kind of sideways. She's like, ah!
So she came out sideways, so not really either way. But yeah, she was sunny side up. But the next question was asked a few times, and it says, I'm due in March with my first. My first question is, how has your afterbirth experience been? I feel like no one talks about it. And I've got asked this a few times, and I did do some updates on my channel, so I will link those down in the description box. But afterbirth is, if you have an epidural and like you get it really early on, I'd say that the afterbirth is worse than the actual birth, in my opinion. Because after... because I tickle. Because...
There.
Because after I got the epidural, I was pretty good. And then the afterbirth, I mean, I kind of was like, can't you just leave that in and like leave my catheter in so I don't have to get up? It was really bad, especially the first time that you go to the bathroom. You feel like you're gonna like
bleed out your butthole.
Yeah, that or you're
That's how you described it to me.
Or you're gonna pee out, like bleed out through your, I don't even know what the pee hole is called, but that
the
area
pee
too.
hole.
I don't think
Probably
the
shouldn't
urethra.
say that on this.
It's okay. I mean, we're talking about birth. But yeah, you just feel like, and then this is so TMI, but you just feel like everything's going to come like falling out. I felt like my guts were gonna fall out. And they said that that's normal, and it's not going to, obviously, but it's just, I felt like my stitches were gonna burst. I don't know why, but I just was really, really scared. And it really, really, really does hurt. It's really painful. Everything is painful for like the first like week. And then I'd say it gets better, but yeah, it was definitely scary and painful, but contractions are worse. So... I don't know. And I am also going to be doing a like essentials for postpartum on my channel soon. There are a few things that definitely help, but yeah, just there's nothing's gonna fall out. You're gonna be fine.
Except for a baby.
Yeah, well, nothing's gonna, that just doesn't fall out. I wish. And then she had another question. I'm also curious how it went with your initial try at breastfeeding. Did the lactation consultant come in and assist you right away? Thank and love you guys. Your little girl's absolutely perfect. We love you too, and thank you. And it was in the middle of the night, so the lactation specialist, I don't know if they would normally, I think that they would normally come in if it was like Monday through Friday.
8 to 5.
Yeah. So if you have your baby during those times, I think that the lactation specialist would have come in, or the consultant. But the baby's nurse is the one who tried to help me with breastfeeding. And the initial try with breastfeeding was definitely not what I expected it to be. I thought that it was going to be natural and we were both going to get it. And that definitely was not the case. It was really, really hard that first time. And apparently sometimes when you get the epidural, it can be harder for them to latch because, you know, your body is so relaxed and things don't get easy to suck on, easy to breastfeed. But so I was having that kind of problem because of my epidural, but I definitely felt like she kind of just, we used the nipple shield after like 15 minutes. It was the very first time that we had ever tried, and we tried for about 15 minutes, and then she was like, okay, well, she's not latching. Here's a nipple shield. It's easy. She can breastfeed now, and that was it. So yeah, I would definitely, if you stay strong to your guns, if you don't want to use a nipple shield, I would definitely do that differently again. If we, you know, when we have another one, I'm going to try a lot harder because she wasn't starving. She wasn't even crying. She was just not latching.
Yeah.
You know, so it was definitely hard, but, and if you end up having to use a nipple shield, at least, you know, you're breastfeeding. And if you aren't even breastfeeding, at least they're fed. You know, anything works, but if you really are stuck to breastfeeding, then don't let them force a nipple shield on you. It's easier, but in the long run, it's harder because you have to get them off of it.
Yeah.
And
it always falls off. And
yeah,
stuff,
and you have to carry, I mean, you have to wash it out all the time, and you have to carry it around with you where you go, and you have to like, it's kind of like if you ever had a retainer as a kid, like you got to bring your retainer to the table and take it out, and it has a little case.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a pain in the butt. But yeah, I would definitely say that it was not what I expected it to be. The next question is, what was the most helpful thing to you during the contractions and overall in your birth experience, such as support of Brandon and your family or breathing techniques? Lots of love from Kentucky. We love you too. And I actually, as I said, you know, they were back to back, and at the beginning I was I was holding my breath and I was moaning, and some people like the moaning and the like being vocal really helps, and it did not help for me at all. And towards the end, Brandon remembered that he should be like helping me, I guess, and like what we kind of like learned and read about. And then he would remind me, and he would tell me, you know, breathe and focus, and that really helped for him to remind me like every 5 seconds to breathe.
Yeah. Because
when I was breathing like slowly and I was closing my eyes or focusing on something, it honestly helped so much. But that is it for this video. This is part 2 of this video. If you have any more questions, then leave them down below. Maybe I'll do like one last one on my channel, just me, or like a postpartum questions video or a newborn questions video, anything like that. But we filmed this so many times, so we are so, yeah, we're ready for this one to be up. But we will have a normal vlog tomorrow, and we will explain everything of why it's been so crazy. And hopefully 2017 goes better from now on. I have a feeling that's going to be great. We just have to get to the great part.
Yeah.
But we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.